Hey all, welcome to ShareTreck. This is Raj here. Good morning and good evening wherever you're watching from. Today we have a dashboard which sounds very pessimistic, but that's what the market is looking like right now. I would summarize this whole thing by saying, let us imagine United States the way it was, a country where everyone wanted to go, where all the capital from the world wanted to go. They had the best companies, the best colleges, the best universities, and a very high standard of living, high per capita income. And now let us say there is some country that doesn't like US and wants to destroy it. Now, you can't fight the country because it's going to be too expensive. They have the best weapons, they have best defense system, the best AI and everything. So if you want to destroy such a country, you got to do a whole bunch of things from inside the country. And it would be like putting a tariff on everything that is being imported, handcuffing your most successful companies from expanding, preventing your people from getting vaccines and medicines by shutting down the agencies that kind of provide these the services to vet these therapies, reducing education, putting a lid on colleges, all these kind of things, and putting a disbeliever in health in charge of FDA, putting someone who is not that great in charge of the military, and so on and so forth, right? So that's exactly what is happening out here, and you see everything going down. S&P 500 futures slide as a drop in NVIDIA shares drags down tech. This happened yesterday after the market closed. Now, Trump is creating what we in India used to call as a permit Raj. Permit Raj was a time when the government used to insist that companies have to take permit before doing anything. And what happened was that it created a whole lot of corruption. In order to get the permit, many officials were given money, bribed to get those permits. And people in proximity of power were able to get permits for many things that others couldn't. So it became the ground zero for corruption. We are seeing something like that happening in the US, in my opinion. Now, if you look at the markets, they are getting distorted because as investors, we're going to look at the consumer expectations, the consumer demand, the sales levels, and all those things. You can see here we have a headline which says US vehicle supply is falling amid tariff buying. So the market data is going to be very skewed. We have to keep that in mind. If we see a very healthy reading right now, that doesn't mean the economy is in a good shape. We have to remember that that's because of front loading of all the demand due to the onset of tariff. And then we have home buyers rushing to riskier loans as tariff turmoil pushes interest rates higher. Now, those people who are getting into this kind of a loans are desperate, and the companies which are giving these loans, we have to be suspect about them, because are they skirting any of their checks and balances in order to give these loans? And who is going to bail out these companies if these loans go bad? Those are the questions that have to be at the back of our mind. Because of all these things, there's a whole lot of skepticism in the market. And critical chip firm ASML missed order expectations. So Trump's tariff problems are not just for US, they are international. Other countries are also suffering. And now Trump is looking into legality of deporting US citizens to foreign prisons. And they're already not responding to the US Supreme Court order to bring back the deported El Salvadorian who was deported by mistake. So this whole US being the shiny house on the hill kind of a thing is fading very, very quickly. And that has a bearing on the US dollar and the US treasuries, and also on US status in the worldwide environment and its soft power in making sure that they get favorable deals and favorable alliances. So the whole global order is being shaken up. At this point of time, we also have China saying it's open to talks if US shows respect and it names a point person. And this is very critical because Trump has been behaving like a cantankerous grandfather in a family dinner. He's calling people names and he's being abusive. I mean, he's been abusive to Canada, calling the Prime Minister a governor and the country of Canada as a 51st state. This kind of disrespect is something that China won't tolerate. And that's what they have made clear. If you are going to be disrespectful, we are not going to come in for talks. You remember how Zelensky was berated in the White House? So all those things kind of indicate that the traditional view of the President of the United States as somebody very dignified, somebody who measures their words very carefully because they have a whole lot of weight behind them, all that thing is gone. The traditional expectation that when the US government makes a policy, it has thought about all the aspects, and the policy, once it is announced, is going to be foolproof. All those things are gone. Things are loosey-goosey. They can be changed depending on who has the ear of the president. So because of all of these things, friends, we have come into a situation which I think warrants some kind of intervention from the Fed. Fed Chairman Powell is coming at 1:30 p.m. this afternoon, and people are going to be glued into his speech to see if he's going to give any hint that he's coming up with some tools in the disposal of the Fed in order to stabilize the bond market. Because all the disillusionment that the world may have about the US government is reflected on the status of the bond market. If people start selling bonds, the yields will start going up, and that's not a very good thing. So we have to look for the 1:30 p.m. catalyst, and at 8:30 a.m. we are going to have the retail sales month over month data. And this is where I think data is going to get skewed, because we don't know how much of tariff related purchases are being front loaded, like people stocking up on things that they need, which they know is going to become expensive with tariffs. And that could also skew the retail sales data. And let's go on to look at the futures, which are already down 0.71%. And you can see the last 3 days, these are all daily candles, the last 3 days, we have not been able to pierce this resistance, which is for us at 5,483. We have been in this area of support for 3 days, and we are coming to the edge of that area. And this candle is for today. It has got very strong support, this diagonal line of support, as well as horizontal line of support. And if we break down below this, then it's kind of curtains down, because the next big support is going to be 5,000.25. The others are all minor support that we have out here, and they have been breached in the past. So it's a very critical day today. And same is the case with NASDAQ as well. We are not been able to pierce through this diagonal line of resistance. And we also should note that we now have a whole lot of death crosses, the 20-day, the 9-day. 9-day has already formed multiple death crosses, but the most significant one is that the 20-day exponential moving average has also crossed over the 50-day exponential moving average, and that is a very significant death cross. You are seeing another death cross out here, the 50-day crossing over the 200-day exponential moving average. All of these things kind of indicate that we are at a very strong inflection point. And if there is some bad news coming from the White House, or some bad news coming from economic data, or Fed Chief Powell not expecting some unwritten expectation, unspoken expectation, then we can just drop down like a ton of bricks. So that's a good possibility out there for both S&P 500 as well as NASDAQ. Dollar index, which was kind of showing some improvement yesterday, which went to above $1, is now back to 99.62, which is again a bad omen for us out here. 10-year yield somehow is managing to stay in a manageable 4.325 area. It has not yet gone back to 4.5. So towards that extent, I think it's not too bad in the bond sector. Now let's go on to look at our indicators where we left them. S&P 500 has got a support today at 5,373.74. It has a resistance at 5,465.79, which is the 21-day exponential. This is the narrow range in which I'm expecting S&P 500 to trade. However, if it breaks down below 5,375.80, then I think we are in for trouble. The next support I have at 5,277.47 will kind of click in. And then we have NASDAQ, which has been pushed down by the 21-day exponential at 19,002.57 and this diagonal line of resistance. And the diagonal line of resistance today for us is going to be 18,952.02. That is our first resistance for today. And our first support for today is going to be 18,632.19, which is very strong because it's conjoined with the 9-day exponential, which is also sitting around the same place. I'm just going to go in here for a moment to make sure that I have lines that you can clearly see. So I'm going to make them a little thicker so that you can actually see those lines and you will appreciate what it is. I'm going to go in and make this line also thicker. So you can see some of the lines that I have been talking about, the exponential moving averages, they are the ones that are kind of holding NASDAQ today. QQQ has fallen below the 21-day exponential and has not been able to go up above it for the last 2 days. And today it has fallen below the 9-day exponential as well. And it's just above 450.32 in the pre-market action. It's at 451.64. So if it falls below 450.32, then it's going all the way down to 434.81. And that's going to be a big fall. And then we have the VIX, which has started picking up again. It's up 4.78% this morning, and if it goes up further, it's going to be pushing the stock market down. Put call ratio is absolutely neutral, and gold, despite all expectations of cooling down, even though it's overbought, it's still continuing to move up. And that's a saying in the market that the market can remain irrational much longer than you can remain solvent. So gold, I think, is in a very critical position. It could go up or it could go down. The risk reward is skewed against getting into gold at this point of time, in my personal opinion, from my risk perspective. And XLP is also down from yesterday, and we'll see what happens when the market opens, whether it starts going upwards. If it does, that would mean that we are looking at a recession possibility. Now let's go on to look at our AI stocks. Nvidia had the biggest shock. Where Nvidia goes, the S&P and the NASDAQ go, because it has got heavy weightage. And Nvidia has dropped 6.45% in pre-market trading. This is bad news, my friends. And that shows that Nvidia is going to fall below a whole range of support. There was this huge area of support that we had, which is gone. And then we had this line of support out here, which is also gone, and it was at 106.91. Then we had a support at 105.97, that's also gone. And then we have one more support out here, which is at 102.96. That's what is going to work for us today, because the price is at 104.99 this morning, and it's dropping a little bit. We'll see what happens when the market opens. Nvidia has taken a hit of around $5.5 billion because now they have to take permit from the government before exporting H20 chips. So this act of taking permit from the government, I strongly oppose these things because they are the source of corruption. They are the source of uncertainty. What other chips and what other sectors are going to come under permit? So the entire set of officials who do these permits are the ones who get lobbied and who get wined and dined and those kind of things when it comes to third world countries, and as Trump would call S-hole countries. Now Trump is converting US into one of those by doing all these things. So beware about this. I'm talking from the point of view of having experienced these things in a developing economy where permit Raj kind of brought down the whole economy, and once permits were removed and free market was allowed, a whole lot of sectors were able to blossom and corruption was reduced to a good extent. Now let's go on to Meta. Meta is down 1.49 in pre-market trade, and its resistance is going to be 516.18, which was earlier a support. That's the resistance for today, 516.18, and the support at 500.06 is going to be support for today. So that's the range in which Meta is going to operate. And if you look at Google, Google is down 2.07 in pre-market activities, and our resistance is going to be the 9-day exponential sitting at 157.47. Pre-market we are at 155.40. Therefore our first support is going to be 155.04. which is our first support, and then the second support for today is going to be 152.33, and the third support is going to be 147.94. I'm thinking that we are going to break at least the first two supports today because of the news that we have heard, and also if US does not reciprocate to the Chinese invitation for discussions, I think then that's going to send the wrong signal, and that can expedite the movement of the MAG5 downwards. Next, let's look at Amazon, which is down 0.91% in pre-market trades, and the first resistance for Amazon is going to be 180.27, and today we are at 177.95 in the pre-market action, and therefore 159.56 is going to be our next support for Amazon. That's a huge fall, and it's quite possible that that could happen. And just for the sake of a minor line of resistance, I would just put a line out here, then minor line of support. I'm going to put this out here, color it green, and say that 162.08 could provide some amount of a cushion that might probably help the pricing for Google. There's another line I can see. I'm just going to clone this and move it up, and this is another point where we have had some amount of hesitation, because one of the days, that is 4th of April and the 9th of April, saw the price action not being in this area. So this could be another minor line of support at 171.55 for Amazon. Apple is down 0.98%, and our support for today is going to be very strong at 198.75 because it's conjoined by the 9-day exponential, and our resistance is also going to be absolutely strong. It's at 206.84, which is conjoined with the 21-day exponential moving average. So that's the range for Apple. And then we are looking at Microsoft. Microsoft is doing, the stream is very choppy. Says hot dog. Just give me 1 second, hot dog. Let me check and see if I can do something from my end. Stream settings, viewer activity, stream health. Stream health is excellent at my end, hot dog. So I think you have to check at your side and see what is happening. Thanks for just tuning in for a short time. Have a good day. Oh, let me get back to my analysis again. Really sorry, hot dog, that you're not getting a good reception out there, but it could be at your end. So let's go on to Tesla. Tesla is down 1.77% in pre-market trading. It's at 249.60, and we used to have a support at 250.25. That's going to become a resistance today. Sorry, that's going to be our first support today, because we are at 249.89 in the pre-market session. So let us see where we go from there. I'm going to mark 250.50 as the first support, because we don't know where we are going to open. The second support is going to be somewhere around 241.49. And our first resistance is going to be 255.59. So that's the range in which I think Tesla is likely to operate today. Oracle is going to have a support today from this diagonal line of resistance from a previous bear channel, which is now going to act as a support. Let me see where we are today. We are at 132.34, and this diagonal line of support would have to be at 134. So I'm sorry, that's not going to be a support today for us. It's still going to be some kind of a resistance, or let us see what's happening out here. It's very difficult to see in this TradingView platform, because the line that shows the current price is a dotted line. Okay, so we are going to have some kind of a support from this diagonal line of support out here, but I'm going to discount that. I would say that our first support is going to be 128.01, and our first resistance is going to be 135.71. That's the range in which Oracle is going to be operating today. Let's go on to AMD, which is down 6.84%. AMD is also going to suffer a lot because it's very in close proximity to NVIDIA, and it's the halo effect of NVIDIA that is falling on AMD, and AMD actually should be doing better because of the handicap that NVIDIA has gone into. I don't think AMD has to do any kind of permits. So I'm thinking that AMD is suffering an overreaction. all said, it's what the market thinks that matters. I think we have a resistance today for AMD somewhere around 91.56 and a support somewhere around 83.21. Those are the two ranges in which AMD is going to work. SMCI is down 3.88%, and we have had some kind of a buyer exhaustion out here yesterday. So I'm looking at actively shorting SMCI today. There's an inverse ETF for SMCI and AMD. I'm going to look at both of those things today. And of course, my FNGD is going to do very well. Next, I would say that for SMCI, 9-day exponential moving average, which is at 33.73, is going to be the first resistance. And the first support is going to be 30.95 for SMCI. Broadcom is also down 3.84%. It's going to get support at 169.63, which is the first minor line of support, and it's going to get resistance from the 9-day and the 21-day exponential at 173.68 and 176.61 respectively, which are these two lines, red line and the mustard line. So that's going to be the resistance. The second support is going to be at 160.11. Palantir is down 1.04%. It's got a resistance at 101.77, and it has got a whole lot of support from the 9-day, 20-day and the 50-day exponential, which are somewhere between 65.46 and 67 and 87.82. That's the range in which you have the support. It's a huge range of support out there. So I'm thinking that Palantir will be caught somewhere in that range if it starts to fall. SMH, semiconductor ETF, is down 3.61%. It's the NVIDIA effect. And which means that we had a huge area of support, which now gets converted into an area of resistance, and you can see that out here. And it's at the bottom at 196.67. Pre-market, we are at 195.57. So this is our resistance today, and our support today is going to be at 185.54. It's a huge fall, quite likely to happen. So that's what I have here, my friend. Tempus AI is down 2.38%, and the first resistance is a very strong resistance for Tempus AI, and that's going to be at 42.93, and it's also joined with the 9-day exponential, which is at 43.33. So both of them together are going to push down Tempus AI today, and the first support for it is at 36.01. So that's all I have for you, my friends. Now let me go on to the chat section and see if there is any improvement out there. I think Hot Dog is still having a choppy stream. Sorry about that, Hot Dog. Probably you could look at the recorded version once I finish the live stream. Thanks to Inf and Hot Dog and anyone else who has joined in. I hope you guys have a great day. Today definitely is a down day for the market unless the White House pulls a rabbit out of their hat or Fed Chief Powell comes out with some kind of a stimmy. So with that, my friends, I think I would like to end this live stream, go into the pre-market trading session and put some shorts out there. If you have any questions for me or any ticker that you want me to have a quick look at, I'm willing to do that. So I'm going to hold for a few minutes because the stream takes a few minutes for my comments to reach you. So I'm going to wait and watch for a few seconds. And if I don't get any messages from you, I'll end the stream. So with that said, my friends, I'm waiting. And while I wait, I'm going to look at a few stocks that I'm going to be trading today. Okay, guys. I'm ending the stream now. I'll catch up with you guys later on. Bye for now.